Hey, Lou. Hey, Lou.
What?
How about putting me in one of them clean cabs? Man, you always sticking me in pig pens.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. You want me to explain it to you?
Yeah.
You got a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, come here. See, it's like this. I don't give a rat's corpse whether you get a clean cab or not.
Remember when a sitcom about New York City cab drivers somehow became one of the most emotionally honest shows on television? From 1978 to 1983, ABC and later NBC aired Taxi, a workplace comedy set inside the Sunshine Cab Company where a group of drivers killed time between fares while waiting for their real lives to start. The show starred Judd Hirsch as Alex Rager, the lone career cabbie holding the garage together, Danny DeVito as the perpetually furious dispatcher Louis De Palma, Tony Danza as hopeful boxer Tony Banta, Marilu Henner as sharp-tongued Elaine Nardo, Jeff Conaway as struggling actor Bobby Wheeler, Andy Kaufman as the unforgettable Latka Gravas, and Christopher Lloyd as the permanently spaced-out Reverend Jim. It never chased trends, never shouted for attention, and it never pretended the American dream was on schedule. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts about Taxi. And stick around for number 1, because one cast member hated sitcoms so much he nearly refused to join, and then rewrote the rules of network television when he did. But before we get into it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel and it keeps these retro deep dives coming. Now, who's ready to hail a cab? Number 15, the bridge was real, and so was the confused New Yorker. That yellow cab cruising across the bridge in the opening credits was an actual checker cab, filmed on location on the Queensboro Bridge in New York City. And the driver behind the wheel was Tony Danza, filming the shot on his very first day working on the series. While the camera rolled, one New Yorker reportedly tried to hail the cab, assuming it was actually on duty. That's how authentic the whole thing looked. The original footage only ran about 15 seconds, which wasn't nearly enough for a full opening credit sequence, so they looped the same pass across the bridge several times. If you watch closely and track the background buildings, you can spot the repetition. But once that footage got paired with Bob, James, Angela, nobody was counting loops anymore. A lone cab drifting into the city, it set the mood for everything that followed. Number 14, Tony Danza was found in a boxing gym. Tony Danza didn't claw his way through auditions or work the Hollywood networking circuit. He got discovered throwing punches in a New York boxing gym and showed up to his audition looking like it. Danza arrived with a black eye and a broken hand, souvenirs from a real knockout he'd delivered in the ring just days earlier. He had no acting resume, no formal training, and no particular plans beyond his next fight. But the producers took one look at him and decided that authenticity was worth more than experience. Here's the thing, the role wasn't written for him. The original script called for an Irish heavyweight boxer named Phil Ryan, a heavy drinker with a losing record. Once Danza got cast, the character got a makeover.
Banta, what the hell's going on here? You're supposed to be out on the road.
I ain't going, Louis. I got a problem.
Oh, not again. The one on the left's the brake, the one on the right's the gas.
Phil Ryan became Phil Banta. The drinking problem disappeared and the heavyweight became a middleweight to match the guy actually playing him. But there was one more change. According to Danza and show lore, the producers were genuinely worried that their brand new actor, who had never been on a set before, might not respond to any name other than his own during filming. So, Phil Banta became Tony Banta, just to be safe. It worked, and it started a trend that followed Danza for the rest of his career. He went on to play characters named Tony in 4 different sitcoms, including Tony Maselli on Who's the Boss. At a certain point, you just lean into it. Number 13, Danny DeVito called the script garbage at his audition. Most actors walk into an audition trying to impress the room, but Danny DeVito walked in and insulted it. When DeVito auditioned for the role of dispatcher Louis De Palma, he grabbed the pages, slammed them down on the table, and demanded to know who wrote this garbage. For a moment, it probably looked like he had just torched his own audition in record time, but instead of showing him the door, the producers started laughing. They weren't offended, they were thrilled.
Hey, Louis, you still owe me money on your tab.
Oh, yeah, all right. Well, come by the garage this week and I'll give you a tire.
That abrasive, confrontational energy was exactly what Louis De Palma needed to be, and DeVito had just delivered it without even trying. He got the part almost immediately, and that angry little man behind the dispatch cage became one of the most memorable characters in sitcom history. All because DeVito had the nerve to walk into a room full of Hollywood veterans and call their work garbage to their faces. Number 12, Louis' girlfriend was already his partner. Louis De Palma's most volatile relationship didn't require much acting because his on-screen girlfriend was his real-life partner.
You really feel that way, Louis?
Yes.
Can't watch the Mets without me?
Nope. Well, I can't watch him now anyway because it's the middle of the winter.
Zeena Sherman, Louis' on-again, off-again love interest, was played by Rhea Perlman. By the time she first appeared on Taxi in 1979, she and DeVito had already been together for nearly a decade. They got married in 1982 while the show was still on the air, which means audiences were watching a real couple scream at each other for entertainment, and honestly, they were good at it. Very good. That off-screen familiarity translated into something brutally authentic on screen. Louis and Zeena didn't do the cute sitcom bickering thing. They argued loudly, insulted each other freely, and pushed their scenes right up to the edge of uncomfortable.
Boy, this place looks immaculate.
Louis, I don't want to be ignored. I need to be alone. I'm very tense tonight.
Perlman appeared in 6 episodes over 3 seasons, and every time she showed up, Zeena gave as good as she got. She knew Louis too well to be intimidated by him and was too stubborn to walk away quietly. Zeena didn't last, but Rhea Perlman absolutely did. Number 11, Reverend Jim was a 1-episode mistake. Reverend Jim Ignatowski was supposed to show up once and disappear forever. That was the plan. The plan didn't survive contact with a studio audience. Christopher Lloyd first appeared in the season 1 episode Paper Marriage, playing a burnt-out hippie minister who performs a fake wedding so Latka can avoid deportation. The character was a plot device with a pulse. Show up, say a few weird things, solve the problem, and exit stage left. Simple enough. But the audience had other ideas. The moment Lloyd started talking, the laughter didn't stop. His timing, his distracted cadence, that sense that Jim was permanently tuned into a frequency nobody else could hear, it all landed so hard that the producers couldn't ignore it. This was the sound of a character demanding a permanent seat at the table. By season 2, the writers had changed course entirely. They brought Jim back in Reverend Jim: A Space Odyssey, where the other drivers help him pass his driving test. That episode gave the world one of the most famous scenes in sitcom history.
What does a yellow light mean? Slow down. Okay. What? Yellow light mean?
Number 10, The Garage was a pre-fame gold mine. Before they were household names, a parade of future stars passed through the Sunshine Cab Company, and most viewers had no idea they were watching careers about to explode. Tom Hanks showed up in the season 4 flashback episode The Road Not Taken Part 1, playing Gordon, Reverend Jim's college roommate from his pre-burnout days.
The music and the brownies have to go, and I'm pulling the plug on the groovy lamp. Ah! Oh, so what are we supposed to do now?
This was 1982, 2 years before Splash made Hanks a leading man, and a solid decade before he started collecting Oscars like frequent flyer miles. Ted Danson popped in that same season for The Unkindest Cut, playing Vincenzo Sanaka, a flamboyant, arrogant hairstylist who gives Elaine a garish makeover right before an important event.
I hope so. I'm so nervous I can't breathe.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Okay.
The guy who would soon become Sam Malone, Boston's most beloved bartender, spent his Taxi appearance wielding scissors and attitude, and it was Louis, of all people, who helped Elaine find the confidence to confront him. Tom Selleck also stopped by as a memorable fare in Memories of Cab 804, playing one of the passengers who passed through the legendary cab. Mandy Patinkin appeared in that same episode. Even Penny Marshall stopped by, playing herself in the final season episode Louis Moves Uptown, where she endured a disastrous interview with a snooty condo board. George Wendt also made an appearance in a separate episode. Both he and Ted Danson later reunited with Taxi director James Burrows on a little show called Cheers. Alongside Rhea Perlman, of course. Not a bad audition reel for one cab garage. Number 9, Latka's gibberish had grammar. Latka Grava sounded like he was speaking pure nonsense half the time, but Andy Kaufman didn't do random. That bizarre gibberish coming out of Latka's mouth wasn't improvised babble or comedic filler. Kaufman and his longtime collaborator Bob Zmuda carefully constructed a fake language with repeating sounds and internal rules. Certain phrases popped up again and again. Ibida worked as agreement, Nick became a familiar greeting, and the cadence stayed consistent across episodes.
Yeah.
Carol Kane, who played Simca, found this out firsthand. Kaufman insisted she learn the rules and stick to them even when the cameras weren't rolling. He once took her to a Chinese restaurant and made her order entirely in the fake language for hours. It was full immersion in a dialect that existed nowhere outside Andy Kaufman's head. That level of commitment is why Latka never felt like a novelty character with a funny voice. The words were nonsense, but the dedication behind them was dead serious, and that's what made him unforgettable. Number 8. Marilu Henner remembers every single day of filming. Most actors remember their big break fondly, but vaguely. Marilu Henner remembers hers down to the very day of the week, the weather, and probably what she had for lunch. Henner, who played Elaine Nardo, has a rare neurological condition called highly superior autobiographical memory. It allows her to recall the exact dates as well as things like weather and personal details from nearly every day of her life with pinpoint accuracy. Scientists estimate fewer than 100 people in the entire world have this ability, which means Henner's brain is doing something yours and mine simply can't. That superhuman recall extends directly to Taxi. Henner remembers learning she got the role on Sunday, June 4th, 1978, while attending a premiere party for Grease. She remembers the first table read happening on Wednesday, July 5th of 1978. She remembers filming the first episode on Friday, July 14th, 1978. Not sometime that summer, not I think it was July, the exact dates exposed like a filing cabinet she can open whenever she wants. Her memory has even corrected the historical record.
And we started on July the 5th. It was a Wednesday. Our first episode was shot July the 14th of 1978.
While most sources list Taxi as having 114 episodes, Henner has pointed out that only 112 were actually filmed. The other 2 were clip shows. She knows this because she was there and she remembers every single day of it. For the rest of the cast, Taxi lives in the pleasant fog of nostalgia, but for Marilu Henner, it's still playing in high definition. Alright, we're going to take a quick pause because if you're enjoying this deep dive into the Sunshine Cab Company, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We put these together every single week because someone should probably keep track of the shows that trusted the audience to pay attention. With Taxi, not every story from the garage was funny. Some were a lot harder to talk about, and that's how we get into number 7. Jeff Conaway was fighting a battle nobody could see. Jeff Conaway came to Taxi as a rising star, but he left as a cautionary tale. Before the Sunshine Cab Company, Conaway had played Kenickie in Grease, the leather-jacketed best friend who nearly stole the movie out from underneath John Travolta.
Well, listen, I'll pick you up at 3, huh?
He was handsome, talented, and seemed destined for leading man status. Bobby Wheeler, the struggling actor waiting for his big break, should have been his launching pad, but Conaway was already struggling. During the filming of Grease, he'd suffered a serious back injury that left him in chronic pain. What started as prescription painkillers turned into something much harder to control. By the time he joined Taxi, he was battling addiction to both painkillers and cocaine. At one point, Conaway was found on the floor of his dressing room unable to perform. Production didn't stop, his lines were just simply redistributed to other cast members, and the episode went on without him. That moment reportedly changed how the production viewed Bobby Wheeler. The guy who was supposed to be a central figure suddenly looked replaceable. Conaway left the show during its 4th season. His struggles followed him for decades, playing out publicly in later years on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. He died in 2011 from complications related to pneumonia after years of substance abuse. He was 60 years old. Bobby Wheeler never got his big break, and neither did Jeff Conaway. Number 6. The show came from a magazine article. Most sitcoms are born in a pitch meeting. Taxi came from a guy who actually drove a cab. In 1975, journalist Mark Jacobson published Night Shifting for the Hip Fleet in New York Magazine, a profile of the drivers working the night shift at Dover Taxi Garage on Hudson Street in Greenwich Village. Jacobson wasn't observing from a distance, he was one of them, clocking shifts and collecting fares alongside the guys he was writing about. and the people he described weren't career cabbies. One driver he profiled was a guy named David, one dissertation shy of a PhD in philosophy, whose education had landed him exactly one job, a $25 a night gig teaching ethics to rookie cops. The rest of his week he drove a cab. He'd been doing it for 4 years and was starting to realize the temporary part might have been a lie he told himself. The article captured that specific kind of limbo where every shift feels like a detour, but the years keep piling up anyway. The most popular story at Dover wasn't about a wild fair or a near-miss accident. It was the what the hell am I even doing here? That tension became the foundation for the entire series. The Sunshine Cab Company was a holding pen for people whose dreams were stuck in neutral, and the show never pretended otherwise. The laughs were there, but so was the quiet ache underneath. Number 5, Taxi got canceled, rescued, and then ghosted. Taxi didn't get a dramatic cancellation story, it got a scheduling decision and a shrug. In 1982, ABC pulled the plug after the 4th season. The ratings had slipped, which conveniently happened after the network moved it to a tougher Thursday night time slot. The quality never dipped though, the audience just couldn't find it anymore. But then something unusual happened. In a rare move for the era, NBC swooped in and picked up the show for a 5th season, hoping Taxi's critical reputation might class up their struggling comedy lineup.
$3.5 million.
The rescue worked, sort of. The show came back, but the ratings stayed modest, and NBC never committed to anything long-term. Here's the problem. Nobody told the cast and crew that season 5 would be the end. Everyone assumed the show would continue. Another season, another network shuffle, whatever. So when the final episode aired on June 15th of 1983, it wasn't a finale at all, it was just another episode, with no farewells, no speeches, and no closing doors. Just the characters together in the garage bickering and laughing like they'd be back next week. The cast even threw a wrap party expecting to return in the fall. The official cancellation came later, during the summer hiatus, when there was nothing left to do about it. In a way, it was the perfect ending for Taxi. Life doesn't always give you a neat goodbye. Sometimes the shift just ends and nobody tells you until you're already gone. Number 4, Reverend Jim's jacket came from a bush. Reverend Jim's most recognizable costume piece didn't come from a wardrobe department. Christopher Lloyd found it himself, or rather someone else found it in some bushes and Lloyd claimed it for television history. The denim jacket belonged to a friend of Lloyd's in Laurel Canyon who had discovered it sitting outside, weathered by years of exposure to the elements.
How much do I owe you?
$150,000.
It was faded, beaten up, and stamped with a peace sign that had seen better decades. Lloyd took one look at it and knew it was perfect for Reverend Jim Ignatowski. He wore that jacket to his audition along with beat-up jeans and worn-out sneakers that had once belonged to his ex-father-in-law. He showed up unshaven and looking so authentically disheveled that a Paramount receptionist reportedly mistook him for a homeless man until his name turned up on the appointment list. Not exactly the red carpet treatment, but it proved the look was working. Once Lloyd made it into the room, the producers didn't ask him to clean up or visit wardrobe. They told him to wear the exact same thing when cameras rolled, and he did. In almost every single episode Reverend Jim appeared in. That ratty denim jacket became as much as part of the character as the spaced out delivery and the 1,000-yard stare. Number 3, America loved Taxi, just not enough to watch it. Taxi won 18 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series 3 years in a row. It's been ranked among TV Guide's greatest shows of all time. The Writers Guild put it at number 19 on their list of the 101 best written series ever, and most of America couldn't be bothered to tune in. The show peaked at number 10 in its first season, respectable sure, but then slipped to 13 and then dropped out of the top 30 entirely. By its final seasons, the ratings were described as rock bottom. Meanwhile, shows like Three's Company, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Alice were dominating the Nielsen charts. The network kept shuffling Taxi around the schedule like they were trying to lose it. Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. Then NBC picked it up and ran a promo with Danny DeVito growling, "Same time, better station." The station was better, but the ratings weren't. That disconnect defined Taxi's entire run. It won more Emmys than it won time slots. Here's the thing. The show has been running in syndication for over 40 years now. It outlasted most of the hits that buried it in the ratings. Turns out quality has a longer shelf life than a top 10 finish. Number 2, the theme song was a complete accident. The music that defined Taxi almost never made it past the background. Angela, the jazz piano piece by Bob James that opened every episode, wasn't originally written to be the theme song. It was composed as incidental music for a completely different scene, a quiet moment in the episode Blind Date where Alex goes out with a woman named Angela and the whole thing fizzles into nothing. The track was named after her, meant to underscore one forgettable date, and that was supposed to be the end of it. The actual theme song was supposed to be another Bob James track called Touchdown. It was upbeat, brassy, and energetic. A perfectly reasonable choice for a network sitcom trying to sound welcoming at the top of the hour. Nobody would have ever complained. But then the producers heard Angela playing against the footage during early production, and everything changed. That drifting melody, that late-night jazz feel, it captured the show's lonely, melancholy mood in a way Touchdown never could. Number 1, Andy Kaufman made them beg, then made them regret it. Andy Kaufman famously hated traditional sitcoms. He thought they were creative prisons with laugh tracks, and he wanted nothing to do with them. So when Taxi came calling, his answer was, "Hell no, to the no, 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 yeah, to the no." But the producers weren't giving up that easily. They kept negotiating until Kaufman finally agreed on his terms. He would only join if he could perform his existing stage character, the foreign man, instead of playing some network-approved weirdo cooked up by sitcom writers.
Dining, dancing, then go my place, then wait. Word not here.
That character became Lotka, and the odd cadence and fractured English weren't scripted quirks, they were Kaufman's act, transplanted directly onto network television. And then the contract got weird. Kaufman insisted on appearing in only 14 episodes per season, roughly half the normal workload, so he could keep doing stand-up and performance art on the side. He also pushed for minimal rehearsals because he believed preparation killed spontaneity. But that still wasn't enough for Andy Kaufman. As another condition of his contract, he insisted that his obnoxious alter ego, lounge singer Tony Clifton, be hired for a guest appearance. Not as a bit or as a wink to the audience, but as a completely separate performer with his own contract. The production agreed, probably not fully understanding what they were signing up for. Clifton was cast as Louis De Palma's brother in the season 1 episode A Full House for Christmas. When he showed up to set, he arrived with sex workers on each arm and proceeded to make everyone's life miserable. He came in late, insulted the cast, ignored direction, and was entirely uncooperative with every aspect of production. The situation got so out of control that producers had security physically remove him from the Paramount lot. Here's the kicker. Many people on set had no idea Clifton was Kaufman at all. They thought they had just witnessed a real firing of a real nightmare guest star. The whole incident was later recreated in Man on the Moon, with Jim Carrey playing Kaufman, playing Clifton getting dragged off the lot because, of course it was. The writers eventually stopped fighting him and started writing around him instead. When Kaufman got bored with Lotka's limitations, they gave the character multiple personality disorder so he could rotate through completely different personas on screen. Problem solved, Kaufman appeased, and the show kept rolling. Most sitcoms would have shown him the door after week 2, but Taxi figured out how to absorb him instead, making Andy Kaufman one of the most unpredictable cast members in television history. And hey, we made it! 15 weird and wild facts about Taxi. Which one hit you the hardest? And which one caught you completely off guard? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and share this with a friend who still remembers the Sunshine Cab Company. Until next time, this is Remember When.